Welcome to Ion Franchising, where you will learn the A to Z's of franchising. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ion Franchising. This is your host, Lance Graulich. I have a great one today. So this next guest is a U.S. Army Special Forces guy. So I definitely appreciate the heck out of this guy's service. Anyone that's been in the military. He's an award-winning guest. He's been ranked top CEO. He's been a recipient of the 40 under 40. So he's still a youngster, much younger than me. Board member of the Better Business Bureau. His brand, he's the founder of, is one of the fastest growing franchises in the US. And it's certainly an absolutely needed franchise. The brand is called Cinch I.T. Welcome to the show, Rick Porter, founder. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on today.
Well, it is my pleasure. Excited to have you on and sort of unpack all the goodness of what Cinch is doing. I mean, so let's hear your backstory. You're in the Army. Who knows? You can't even tell me half the stuff that happened while you're in the Army, I'm sure. But, tell us everything you want to tell us, especially how the heck you got into franchising.
Sure. Stumbled into franchising. We'll get to the short story, right? Stumbled into franchising. The long story is this. After graduating high school, parents told me I wanted to join the military right away. Parents told me, hey, we think you should go and get an education first. So you should go to college and get your degree first. I thought that was wise advice. So I did that, went to school for business administration with a concentration on accounting and finance. After that, actually worked for an IT company for 3 years, still wanting to join the military the entire time, but naturally just got right into the workforce. Finally did it. Finally joined the United States Army, worked in the special operations community, had an absolute blast, met some amazing people that to this day have done some amazing stuff. And the Discovery Channel, fun fact, Discovery Channel actually did an episode about one of the missions that I was on. I was on a 22-hour firefight, and the Discovery Channel did an episode called the Warfighters Series. And I think it's season 2, episode 13. It's called Objective Berlin. So it's a pretty fun story if anybody's interested. But that was one of the missions I was on. But got out of the military eventually, became a civilian again and got back into the only other thing I know, which was IT, and been doing that ever since. Now, how we get into franchising? That's like I said, the short answer is we stumbled into it. So we started the IT.
But that's because you had experience in it. And did you see a need that this brand needed to be born? I mean,
yeah. So what happened is when we started the IT company, we struggled at first, like so many young IT companies do. And we eventually connected with some really great people, right? Our Morgan Hiller is our director of support. Mike Mosier is, our director of training and technology. And we brought in these really great people, and things started to take off for us. We learned how to sell, which is really unique, by the way, in the IT space, right? We lovingly use the word nerds around here, right? We're mostly a bunch of nerds who just really like to work on computers and technology, but we're not innately the best salespeople. So we learned how to sell and how to market, and things really took off for us. And what we found out was we started to spread, and more importantly, our customer base started to spread all across the country. And our mission is to provide fast and friendly IT support. It's actually really that simple. Fast and friendly. That's what we focus on. And it's really hard to provide fast IT support on site, especially when you have customers in 34 states across the United States. And so we were searching for a way to be able to provide on-site support in a fast manner as well. And we looked at tons of different models. And that's when I first got introduced to franchising. And I'll be honest with you, I fell in love with it.
So who introduced you to franchising, and what was your first reaction? Like, hey, you should franchise this.
Well, so franchising for me right away, I said, wow, that sounds like, I don't know anything about it. So it's a little scary, right? It's new to me, but it was actually my CPA. My CPA said, hey, one of my clients is a franchise. has a pretty similar story. And they worked with a local attorney, and maybe you should have a conversation with that attorney. And so I did. I had the conversation with the attorney, and she kind of filled me in on how franchising works. And she suggested a couple books for me to look into. And I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a big reader. Like last year I did 54 books, I think it is.
Wow.
All audiobooks. I wish I had time to read physical books, but all audiobooks. And she really filled me in, and I went down this rabbit hole of just learning about franchising. And the more I learned about it, the more I loved about it. And then I started meeting people like yourself. And what I realized is the franchise community is like no other. They're just amazing people who are all willing to share and help each other. And you don't find that in most industries. And I fell in love with it.
Yeah, I love it. That's such a great story. So 2004 is when you actually started.
You got it.
And then you just started franchising. You basically perfected the system. Your website is amazing. You have a lot of great information. And 2019, you started franchising right in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah,
I should say the start of a pandemic.
Yeah, we launched about 6 months before the pandemic. So probably not the best strategic time to open a franchise. But then, here's the nice part. We're in IT. And if there's any industry that was as pandemic, proof or recession resistant as possible, it was IT, right? Because all of a sudden everybody had to work remotely, and sure, everybody cut costs, cash was king, this and that. The one thing you couldn't get rid of, and the one thing you needed more than ever before, was your technology. Right. Yeah. People started to jump on Zoom meetings and team virtual meetings and this and that. And you had to be able to access your data from anywhere. And our customers used us like never before. Actually, our ticket volume, so our requests for support, increased threefold, like overnight, by the way, which was a fun challenge. But it was fantastic. And so even though it wasn't it was a difficult time for potential franchise partners to make that leap into franchising and to purchase their territory. I think that was difficult for them to make that the decision during times of uncertainty. Those that were already with us and those that were really close did really, really, really well.
Yeah. Something new to anyone, doesn't matter who you are, becomes scary. You don't know. I remember that first 30 days or so of the shutdowns. And I was like, everybody, friends of mine, family across the country, were all talking. Is like, so what's going on? How long is this? What's a shutdown? I mean, like what?
Is this a 3-day vacation? I'm going back to work on Monday.
Yeah, in my case, I've been self-employed for so long, so it was no different, except I was like, wait, I don't have a gym to go to in the morning. Well, thankfully it's
difficult to get toilet paper. Yeah,
difficult to get toilet paper. That was fascinating. So I wanted to ask about your services specifically, so everybody understands.
Yeah.
What are, if you're going to create kind of that pie chart of services, what's the number one reason that people hire Cinch I.T?
So number one reason is we provide computer support to businesses. And the number one reason is because we are about a third of the cost of an in-house IT person. So if your company is large enough where you have an in-house, or you're thinking about bringing in an in-house person, to outsource that to a company like Cinch I.T saves you about a third of the cost. And more importantly, we don't take vacation, right? We don't have sick days. We have, 50 plus people there to support your company, which means we also have a vast knowledge base, right? You're not trusting just one person's knowledge base and training. You have an entire company there to support you. And so, companies oftentimes will come to us to save money. The other ones are growing companies, right? If you have a company and you've been growing and doing well and you've been successful, you probably have an IT person already. But oftentimes you're going to outgrow that single operator, right? Your IT company is maybe one guy or one gal, and they've done really well to this point, but now you need fast service, right? You need to be able to call a number and guaranteed they're always going to answer the phone and resolve your issue very quickly, because time is money and technology takes time. Those are the number two reasons why people do business with Cinch I.T and what we're here for, to help them.
So is that part of that secret sauce that I happen to see on the website?
So the secret sauce is more a sauce for our franchise partners, because here's the deal. If our franchise partners want to open up their territory and they look at everything we do for our customers, right? Help desk support, on-site technical support, procurement when they need to buy laptops and desktops and tablets and Wi-Fi access points and firewalls and projects, moving customers to the cloud and this and that, it can become overwhelming if you're thinking about starting your own IT company or opening a territory, right? You might be thinking, hey, I'm in this all by myself, and that's a lot to do. Well, the secret sauce is that Cinch I.T is your partner. And the truth is we're handling so much of it for you. That's what makes us different than any other franchise IT company that's out there. We provide a help desk for all of our franchise partners. So they do not have to go out and hire, train, and run a help desk. We do it all for them. We have a projects department. We pool our national buying power for our franchisees so that they can get larger discounts with vendors, and they don't have to reach out to 26 vendors when they need something. They just reach out to us. We're able to acquire it, drop ship it to them, the whole 9 yards. So those are some of the components of the secret sauce that just make it easy and convenient for them to not only start a business, but to grow and scale it.
That kind of magnifies the classic statement, you're in business for yourself, not by yourself.
You got it. You got it. And I definitely heard that a lot when I was first, researching and learning about franchising. And I love that idea. And I don't even know if I really should say this on your podcast, but I think that there's a lot of franchisors out there that might say it, but how true is it really? I wanted to make sure with our brand that we were really, really, really delivering that value and making sure that when we say it, we really mean it. We're here with you every step of the way.
Yeah, no, and it's good you said it. I mean, you're just being honest. And there are brands. I tell people all the time as a franchise broker, when people come to me and they're scared or they're nervous and they honestly can't get out of their comfort zone, they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They don't want to take any risks. And I said, look, it's my job to match you up with brands that there's very little risk when you follow the plan. You get to go through the process. And by the time you're done with the process, I mean, Rick's not asking you for a credit card after the first phone call.
Exactly.
He and his team are going to vet you and make sure you're right for the brand. And it might be 6 weeks or 2 months later. And you'll have an opportunity to validate, which we're going to talk about in a second, and talk to existing franchisees that you absolutely know, like dating. You don't get married after the first date. Take your time, figure it out. And, does the company culture match up to what you expect and need?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great metaphor too, because right, your average franchise agreement is longer than most marriages nowadays.
100%. And it is a business transaction, which truly is sadly how people should treat a marriage. It should be like a business transaction. And if you're not seeing eye to eye, don't get married.
So I just, in case my wife listens to this, I'm not going to agree with you, but I'm nodding you see me nodding my head. Yes. Right.
Perfect. You got it. So let's talk about your process. Walk us through, if somebody's interested and I bring somebody to you, somebody listening, what have you, and they come to Cinch I.T, describe the process. What are they going to go through to understand everything about you in order to make a decision?
Sure. Yeah. I think it's a very thorough process for us. It's 6 steps. It starts with learning about that secret sauce that you mentioned, right? So what we'll do is we'll jump on a quick introduction call just to get to know each other. One of the things that I do, I don't know if it's unique because I don't know what other people do, but one of the things I do in my introduction call is I really want to learn what the potential franchise partner is looking for in a business, and more importantly, in a lifestyle. And if I think we're a good fit, I'll be honest with them and let them know that, and we'll continue on in the process. But oftentimes what I do is actually share other franchise systems that are out there, especially in the IT space. I give them the names of the competitors and I tell them we might not be the perfect fit for everyone. So I think you should also do your research, and here's some companies you should look at as well.
Rick, you just hit on something really important. I wanted to dive into that.
Yeah.
A lot of people tell me, you can imagine I get a lot of the same comments, questions, stress, anxiety from people because they don't know what they don't know. I always equate everything to working out. I love working out. And I tell people, if you've never worked out or you haven't worked out in a long time and you go to do 10 push-ups, you're going to be straining.
It's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt. It's just like starting this process. In the beginning, it's going to hurt. There's a lot of stuff you don't know. But a lot of people mention competition. Why? They're scared. I can mention any franchise. Oh, there's so much competition. How do you know? But in your case, you're helping them understand who the competition is. What would you say if you name your first, couple of competitors? What are the major differences?
Yeah, absolutely. And the major differences are actually the reason why I recommend them. So I'll give you an example. Is it okay if I share names of some of my competition
Sure.
on here as well? So when I have that initial conversation, with an individual, I want to understand what their background is too, right? If they tell me that they have worked in the IT space for 25 years, and they love working with computers and they love working with the customer directly, because when they are able to fix a problem or a frustration, they love the look on their face when they resolve it, then guess what? We might not be the best brand for you. Why? Because we're going to do help desk for you. We're going to do, statistically speaking, we're going to do 90% of the IT work we're going to do for you. So you might not get an opportunity to see that smile on the customer's face. But you know what? CMIT, Team Logic IT, Nerds to Go, these are some other IT franchises that are out there that don't provide you with a help desk. So guess what? You will be able to do the vast majority of the IT work. And so they might actually be a better option for you. Now, at the end of the day, if you said, I've been in this for 25 years and I've done the technology, but now I'm at the point where I want to work on my business and I want to grow it and I want to work on scaling it and I don't want to be involved in the day-to-day IT support. Well, guess what? We might be better than anybody else for you, because we're going to handle 90% of those technical issues for you while the other brands won't. So that's a huge competitive differentiator that we have that is right for some people, but not everyone.
Yep. I love it. I love it. And that, look, it speeds up the process for people, because at the end of the day, it is possible they are the type of individual that want to do a lot of work themselves. There are people like that.
Yeah,
Chuck in a truck, staying in the van.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, I don't know if everybody feels this way, or you might think I'm a little crazy, but I don't think you should at least sell a franchise. It has to be a good fit. Like you mentioned, I love your analogy of it being like a marriage, right? You're going to be working with these folks, hopefully for a very long period of time. You both should be happy in that marriage. And so, I don't want you to start a Cinch franchise if you want to work on the IT support every single day. You're going to be unhappy. And so I'd rather you be happy somewhere else. And in the long term, that karma will come back to me.
Yeah. But, like a marriage, it's all about roles and responsibilities. Marriages that are successful. Look, I got remarried 10 years ago, celebrated our anniversary last week. And she's crazy enough to keep me for 10 years. It was unbelievable. Now we're incredibly happy. But then again, we really did define our roles and responsibilities. And in a franchise, with the franchise disclosure document that every franchise is required to produce, it's 23 items in there. It lays it all out. And these aren't necessarily, projections. This is history to show this is how many franchisees, this is the investment, this is the term, this is our, if there's an item 19 or an earnings claim. But then you also have the opportunity to talk to existing franchisees and validate and hear from them. I had a guy recently looking at a franchise, a pretty big franchise, but it was some resale stores that were all beaten up, that weren't run right by the previous franchisee, didn't pay attention to his business. And my guys couldn't get proper validation. There was happy franchisees that kept telling him, oh yeah, this is how much we make. And my guys came back to me and were like, well, they're happy, but that doesn't make me happy. Like hearing those numbers, what do we do? Yeah. So the answer is you run. I'll get you something else. And I did. Yeah. So there are franchises, just like your description earlier. People might be happier with CMIT.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So continue telling us and sharing with the audience about your process.
Yeah.
So once you're done, anybody else on the corporate team has a vote, or you You give them
Yeah,
some
absolutely. So
validation.
that initial call is really just to find out, hey, if we might be a good fit for you, and to kind of give you some structure to do some research. After that, what we do is you'll sit in, we do a webinar, usually takes about an hour to an hour and a half. That is called the Secret Sauce webinar. And we dive into all the details, right? Everything from our mission of providing fast and friendly IT support to what the training program looks like and everything in between. And at the end of that, I believe that franchise partners usually have a really good idea of, hey, this is exactly what I was looking for, or maybe it wasn't right away. But you usually have a really good idea. We're also sharing with you the FDD, like you said, so you can look through all 23 items so that you can see all of that stuff. We also then, while you're taking a look at the FDD, we're going to look at territory reviews. And that's one of my favorite pieces because, our competition has been around for a really long time. And in some areas, it's hard to find a good territory. And because we are an emerging franchise, and we're not shy to say that, in some areas, you can find the exact territory you were looking for, and it's a perfect fit for you.
And Rick, let's just talk about how big is a territory typically? What makes up a territory, and what is the investment overall?
Sure. So I'll start with the investment piece. The investment piece is a range of $101,000 to $125,000 total. Our franchise fee is $15,000. The territory, the way it works is they're contiguous zip codes. And it is an area that has anywhere from 3,000 to 3,500 businesses with 10 or more employees, because that's our target demographic. We're looking for businesses that typically have 10 to 100 employees. Now, we have customers that have a lot more than 100 employees, and we certainly have some that have less, but that's our target market. That's our sweet spot. So we're going to make sure that your area has anywhere from 3,000 to 3,500 of those businesses.
Got it. Makes
now,
sense.
When we're looking through the territories at the same time, you'll fill out a traditional formal application. And once you've had time to review the FDD, and we've looked over potential territories, and we have your application back, we will also do exactly what you mentioned. We're going to put you through validation. In other words, we're going to put you in contact or allow you to reach out to all of our franchisees, as many as you want, and talk to them about anything they want, right? Things like, how much money are you making? Are you happy with the culture? Things like
Would
that.
you do it again?
Would you do it again? Exactly.
Rick put me through this boot camp because he was U.S. Army Special Forces.
So if I may, just because I know you're joking, but I'm going to give you a real story, and I promise I'll make it short. I have two franchisees that are close. Their territory is close to our corporate headquarters. And last year, we Cinch I.T put together our first ever charity event that we hosted ourselves. It was for pediatric cancer patients, okay, for an organization called Why Me and Sherry's House. And what we did is a military-inspired charity event. It was a 100-mile ruck march. In other words, a hike with about a 40-pound backpack. We did 25 miles a day for 4 days. You slept outside in tents at a brewery. We threw a party, and we did it for 4 days. I 100% invited 2 of our local franchisees, and they went out, and guess what? It was painful, but they actually finished 100 miles.
Oh my goodness.
So you laugh about the boot camp, but there may be a little boot camp.
I think I want to do that now with you.
So we actually, our second annual 100-mile ruck march is on July 21st through the 24th. So it's coming up in 3 weeks.
Oh, thank goodness. I'll be out of town at a franchise convention. I got lucky on that one.
Start training for next year.
Next year it is.
So and then lastly, once you validate, we'll bring you in for what every franchise calls a discovery day. That's when we're going to bring you up here to our corporate headquarters. Yeah, exactly. Meet the team, meet everybody.
Wait, where's your corporate office, Rick?
It's in central Massachusetts, in Worcester, Massachusetts.
That's right, Worcester.
Yep. So we'll bring you up here. We'll tour. You'll meet the team, the whole 9 yards, and we'll have paperwork prepared for you and things like that. We'll sign the documents, and then we'll start the training program and get you scheduled and get you through the training program, open for business. And so it's a good, like I said, it's a thorough process. I'm very honest with people and let them know that, especially for us, and I'll share this because I think it's important for your audience. Sure. And really anybody. We do not rush this process, and we're very particular in this process because of our secret sauce. So our secret sauce is that we're going to handle 90% of the work for you, right? That's the short way to describe our secret sauce. In other words, we're partnered with our franchise partners. We are closer to them than probably most brands, because their customer truly is our customer. And so we want to make sure that we bring in rock star franchise partners, right? They need to be a great fit, and likewise, we need to be a perfect fit for them. So we take our time with it. We do not rush the process. And here's the other part: we don't award 25, 50, 100 franchises a year. We actually award a very low number, because as you can imagine, if we're doing 90% of the work, we need to grow and scale even faster than our franchise. So for example, we have about 3 to 5 new employees that start here every single month, because we are keeping pace, ahead of pace of all of our franchise partners' growth. And so we limit the number of franchises that we award, and we choose only the best. And I think it's done well to make sure that our system is successful. And at the end of the day, happy franchise partners and a successful system is more important to me than the number of locations we have.
And you have several franchisees that are going to be multi-unit already.
Correct. Yep, we do. And so it gives them the opportunity to expand their network and expand their geography. And so they can cover in their particular cases, multiple areas of the state. And in some cases, we have a franchise partnership in Utah that has basically almost all of southern Utah, which is really, really great. And it's worked out well for them, and they've been wildly successful.
Love it. Love it. That's absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about who you are looking for when you're talking about these rock stars, superstars. Who, if you're going to think of your top few franchisees, top 3 franchisees right now, what are their qualities and what do they do before joining you?
All right. So Lance, last time I was asked this question, it was at the IFA Emerging Franchise Conference. I was on stage and they asked me this question, and I got myself into trouble.
Uh-oh.
Because our ideal franchise partner, I can actually be very, very specific if I wanted to. Funny story, I was actually up on stage, asked this question, and I said, the ideal franchise candidate is a salesperson that currently works for Paychex, and Paychex was a sponsor, and they were in the audience. I was like, oh, geez. But with that being said, an ideal franchise partner for us is actually somebody with a sales background, not necessarily a technical background. And if you think about it, this is going to make perfect sense. In the IT space, in order to grow your business, you need to be out in the community, forming relationships, right? Meeting with businesses and finding customers. That's how you're going to grow your revenue, obviously. The other part of this is, I told you that our secret sauce is that we handle about 90% of the technical issues. So you truly don't have to have a huge technical background, because there's not a lot of technical work for you to do. So most of our franchisees and our like you said, our wildly successful franchisees come from commercial insurance. They were a commercial insurance salesperson, right? They were a commercial banker, right? And so they were working on the sales side of bringing in customers.
So not afraid to talk to people is what it comes down to, and preferably a sales background of some kind.
You got it. And that 10% of the IT work that you're going to do locally in your territory, you can hire that out if you don't have the ability to also do it as well. You can hire out that technician to handle that 10%. So our ideal candidate typically has a sales background.
I've had IT guys and gals as clients, candidates that have come to me looking at franchise opportunities. And several of them have asked about sales related businesses. And as I hear them on the other end of the phone, I'm like, I don't think this is for you, because they've seen the salespeople that make all the money and they assume that they can do it. I was like, nope.
And sales it's a tough skill set, right?
It is. And that's why, when people say to me, I'm worried about failing, or, I have to pick the right franchise. Well, of course you have to pick the right franchise, like you have to pick the right wife or spouse or whatever it might be, but you can't be mismatched, if you have to have a certain skill set to be a professional athlete. Just just like that in franchising, we can train anybody to almost do anything, but
Exactly.
there are certain skills that are necessary in order to be successful,
You
you
got it.
know?
You
And
got it.
yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. So obviously you will weed people out in the process. It doesn't matter what walk of life they came from, but you're obviously looking for the sales background. Now, I'm sure you've had people that have come to you through through referrals and what have you, and you're like, yeah, this is probably not for you. So I'm sure you feel badly when you have to kind of kick people out of the process, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in the truth, so I don't know. So I told you I have a military background. So I'm also right. The military knocked the feelings out of me in a long time. So I actually don't feel bad. I really don't. I'm going to be honest with you. Is that bad to say? I don't feel
No.
bad. And here's why. If I'm honest with you and I tell you, hey, I don't think this is a good fit, the truth is I'm probably looking at your best interest. I probably am thinking you are not going to be successful in this endeavor, or maybe you'll be successful, but I don't think you're going to be happy. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, those are the two things I want for anybody. I want you to be successful and happy. And so if we do have to turn you away because it's just not a good fit, it's probably in your best interest. And I'm actually going to sleep really well at night and I'm not going to feel bad. Not that it's an easy conversation to have, but it's in your best interest. And at the end of the day, that is going to make me feel good.
I think that's a great, honest, really important point. So I appreciate you saying that. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. So obviously, if you're doing 90% of the business, or corporate, the franchisor is doing 90% of the business, the majority of the business that new franchisees are doing is the business development and the sales aspects and customer acquisition, as Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank says on a regular basis. So what do you do what does the ramp up period look like when people launch? Because we all know how important it is to get any franchisee out of the gate successfully. So
Exactly.
they're at least breaking even as quick as possible, and then eventually making money.
Exactly. And so there's actually a lot to unpack here, and I'll have fun with this one. I love this topic. So marketing, right? So let's talk about marketing. So we do have an advertising fund fee. So all of our franchisees participate in a fund, and that fund actually does a lot of, I'll call it digital marketing first, right? So it's going to handle websites for you. So our franchise partners don't have to worry about creating and maintaining websites. It's going to handle all of their social media. So they don't have to get involved in their social media, though they have access to get involved. And so we're handling digital marketing, we're handling websites, we're handling all of that type of digital marketing. What we're looking for our franchisees is to do what I would consider local marketing. And when I say local marketing, what we're really talking about is networking, right? In our space, in the managed services or IT space, right? IT support for businesses, what we're really looking for is somebody who can develop relationships. So, most of our franchise partners, when they get started, are going to join their local chamber of commerce. They might join a referral group like maybe a BNI or a Provisors or a Vistage, right? They start to join these groups, and what we call them tier one partnerships. That's part of our training program. How do you develop and nurture relationships with people who will consistently pass referrals your way, and who you can also pass referrals to? And so most of that customer base is going to come from networking, right? And because here's my belief, and here's what we've seen, in coming up on almost 20 years in this industry, is that businesses that have 10 to 100 employees have a successful business, right? If you have 10 to 100 employees, you've done well for yourself, you're doing well, you've probably been doing this for some time, and
Right.
which means you as the business owner has also developed a network. And when you're frustrated with your IT, you typically don't just go to Google and type in, best IT company near me. You don't. You reach
Yeah.
out to your trusted advisors, right? You reach out to a CPA, you reach out to your lawyer, reach out to your friend who also owns a business, right? And you say, hey, who do you use for IT? I need a new IT person. And we want to be top of mind. We want to develop relationships with all of those people. And so that's what our franchise partners are doing in their local community. As far as how fast do we get them ramped up, our training program is a thorough training program that takes about 12 weeks. It takes exactly 12 weeks. It is called experiential training. In other words, we are actually going through and we're teaching you how to sell in the IT space. And when we do it, it's experiential. We're not talking about theory only. We're talking about theory, and then we're actually implementing it. So when I say you're going to join a local chamber of commerce, we're not waiting for 12 weeks and then saying, okay, go join the chamber of commerce. We're joining it on week 2. Right? We're attending some in-person meetings throughout that training program or virtual meetings. When we're starting to develop those networking relationships and doing one-to-one meetings with them and things like that, we're doing it throughout the process. So that when you actually get your diploma and you graduate from Cinch University and you go back, you've got tons of activity going on in that sales world. So you can ramp up and, like you said, break even or become profitable as fast as possible. And I'll throw you one other thing that's just really neat about our industry. In the IT industry, one of my favorite things about it is it's all about reoccurring revenue. So when you bring on one customer, let's say that customer spends $1,000, their bill for support is $1,000 a month, let's just say. It's $1,000 every month. And so once you bring them aboard and you nurture that relationship, there's $1,000 there every single month. So if you do it again next month and the month after that and the month after that, it's really compounds into one day you're looking at your reoccurring revenue each month and you're going, wow, I'm doing really well. It's one of my favorite parts about sales in the IT space. And like you said, customer acquisition.
Everybody's talking about multiple streams of income, and imagine getting paid. Well, you can imagine, you do it, getting paid multiple times for the work you've already done, essentially.
You got it.
So let's break something down real quick. 12 weeks of training. I would assume a little bit of that is in Massachusetts, but most of it is remote, correct?
You got it. You've clearly done this once or twice before.
Nah.
Yeah. So all of the training is remote with the exception of 2 weeks. So we have a 2-week on-site training program that's here in central Massachusetts, and it's all hands-on. You'll actually work inside of a live franchise. The technician is actually going to go and visit live clients and work with hands-on with the computers and support and things like that. And on the sales side, the salesperson is, again, experiential. They're sitting in, and let's say you want to do a cold calling block. You're going to sit with your trainer, and your trainer will actually make cold calls on your behalf. They'll help you schedule meetings. They're going to help you to identify who those best referral partners are, but you're going to do it hands-on with them. You're going to travel. You're going to sit in on meetings with them. You're going to go visit existing clients, talk to existing clients, talk to them why they chose Cinch I.T and what's so valuable about the service. I actually think the 2 weeks that are hands-on in person, I think, are the most valuable of all.
Love it. Well, I want to know, are there any final thoughts, anything we missed, any final words of wisdom? I know you have plenty of words of wisdom, that's for sure.
Well, you know what? I honestly, I don't have a ton of words of wisdom. I feel like I'm letting you down right now, but I don't have a ton.
You've thrown out all the words of wisdom so far.
I think we talked about it probably a lot today, is that, if you're a potential franchise, partner that's looking to find a franchise, or if you're a franchisor, my words of wisdom is to make sure it's a good fit. Make sure you're going to be happy. I'll use our metaphor to close us out here. You said it perfect. It's a marriage, and make sure that it's a happy marriage. Make sure that it's one that's going to last, and you're going to enjoy every minute of every day with that person.
So do your homework before you put a ring on it.
You got it.
Rick Porter, Cinch I.T. Thank you so much, Rick, for being here. You did awesome. This was fabulous.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening today. Please like, follow, and subscribe. This is Lance Graulich. Until next time.